is the International Slavery Museum. There's lots of different quotes across the walls of the museum which are engraved. There's many from the likes of Woodrow Wilson and Nelson Mandela. They all speak of slavery and the effects. This is a case that has the different punishment devices that a slave would have been subjected to. It has things like a whip that was designed for ladies so that it shows us that it wasn't just the men that would abuse these slaves, it would be the women too. We've looked around the museum and chosen this Ku Klux Klan gown. It's a piece of white cotton with holes in it in the eyes where people would look through, and the fact that people wore it to murder people makes it more scary, and the fact that it's like white, which symbolises purity and freedom, is quite ironic.
My first reaction was a bit of a, whoa. But then I got closer and I was like, that's really scary. Imagine seeing that in person, oh, no.
The Ku Klux Klan was a racist group that didn't believe that black people should have the same rights as white people. They wore this gown as they went round, murdered, intimidated, abused, specifically black people, because they believed the white people were better than them.
Why is there a Ku Klux gown in the Slavery Museum, and what is the importance of it?
The museum, as well as looking at the history of transatlantic slavery, it wants to look at the legacies, so those issues that find their roots historically within the story of transatlantic slavery, but actually affect us in our lives today. So one of those legacies is the issue of racism. The Ku Klux Klan is a great example of that. A racist organisation that have terrorised African Americans during the 1800s when the group started. The group itself is still around today.
Despite that we live in quite an equal society nowadays, in the United States there are still people who call themselves the Ku Klux Klan, and there are still members of a group that did such horrific things to people.
Who are the people behind the masks?
That's a difficult one really, because the very fact that they wear masks, you don't know them individually. So people who had strong sort of feelings against African Americans. So it was people, general day-to-day people, it was people in all aspects and walks of life. Teachers, farmers, doctors, lawyers.
The thing I learned from the curator is that it was so many everyday people that were part of the Ku Klux Klan, and I find that quite upsetting.
Were any members of the Ku Klux Klan actually prosecuted for their actions?
I'm not sure about that, that's a good question. Don't know of any individual examples, but I know that many didn't get prosecuted for the same reason, that a lot of them were in law enforcement, a lot of them were police officers and judges and solicitors who colluded together to make sure that there was no justice for African Americans who were terrorised by this group.
I think there's still a long-lasting legacy of slavery, and people can come to the museum and see and explore the things that happened to the black people in the past and go away with a changed view, and remember that we're all equal no matter what we look like, and that we should all be treated equally no matter what.